Hello everyone, and today I will tell you a scary fictional winter story. This is my first video, so make sure to like and subscribe. To support the channel was the dead of winter, and I was driving down a remote, snow-covered road late at night. The sky was a dark, endless expanse of stars, and the only sounds were the crunch of my tires on the icy pavement. The trees on either side of the road were tall, twisted silhouettes that seemed to reach out as I passed, creating an unsettling atmosphere. I'd taken this route before, but tonight felt different. An eerie stillness hung in the air, like the world was holding its breath. Suddenly, without warning, my car sputtered and died. The engine coughed, then went silent, leaving me stranded in the freezing cold. I sat there for a moment, stunned, feeling the icy grip of fear creeping in. I tried to restart the engine, but nothing happened. The cold seeped through my coat, and I could feel my body trembling. Desperate, I stepped out to look around. The snow crunched loudly under my feet. In the distance, I saw a faint flicker of light in an old, abandoned cabin I'd heard rumors about but never believed in. The stories said it was haunted, that strange things happened there in winter. Despite my better judgment, curiosity and desperation pushed me to walk toward it. The journey through the snow was slow and treacherous. Each step was heavier, and my breath came in short gasps. When I reached the cabin, the door was slightly ajar, hanging on its hinges. I hesitated, heart pounding, then pushed it open. Inside, the air was thick with dust and decay. A flickering candle cast faint shadows on the walls, and an unnatural cold radiated from the room. Shadows danced and flickered, heightening my unease. Suddenly I heard a whisper, soft, almost inaudible at first, like the wind. But then it grew clearer, voices calling my name, urgent and insistent. I spun around, eyes searching through the darkness, but the room was empty. Yet I felt the presence of something unseen. Then I saw it, a shadowy figure in the corner, tall, hunched, with hollow, dark eyes that seemed to stare right through me. Its features were blurred, like smoke or mist, yet I knew it was watching. My heart hammered in my chest as fear took hold. I wanted to run, but my legs felt rooted. The whispers grew louder, more frantic, as if trying to communicate. Then I felt it, a cold, clammy hand on my shoulder. The sensation was icy and impossible to ignore. I froze, paralyzed by terror, as the hand seemed to pull me toward the shadow figure. Everything around me dissolved into darkness. I remember being dragged into an infinite void, overwhelmed by cold and despair. The whispers turned into screams echoing in my mind. When I finally regained consciousness, I was outside the cabin, lying in the snow, and I had no idea what to do but run home. Now, when winter comes, I still think about it to this day, and I still get a chill. I never believed in ghosts until that Christmas Eve. I was walking home through Ravenswood, passing the old hollow manor on the outskirts of town. Everyone warned me to stay away, especially on holidays, but I thought it was just a silly legend. That night I decided to prove it wasn't real. As I approached the decaying house, a strange cold seeped into the air, and my flashlight flickered. Shadows danced along the crumbling walls, and I felt a prickling on the back of my neck. With each step, the silence grew heavier, like the house was waiting. I hesitated, then pushed open the creaking door. Inside, dust swirled in the stale air. The floorboards groaned beneath my feet, and I shivered despite my jacket. Suddenly I heard a faint melody, something familiar, yet warped. It sounded like Christmas carols, but distorted, haunting. The melody seemed to come from the attic. Curiosity pulled me upward. I climbed the stairs, each step echoing loudly in the emptiness. At the top, I found a small room with a cracked window. Through the glass, I saw a figure sitting by an old fireplace, dressed in tattered Christmas clothes. Its face was pale, eyes hollow, yet it watched me silently. As I stared, the figure turned slowly, revealing a sinister smile. "You shouldn't be here," it whispered, voice cold and hollow. "This house is mine." Suddenly, a freezing gust of wind rushed through the room, and the melody turned into a shriek. Shadows spilled from the corners, twisting and reaching toward me like icy claws. I tried to run, but the house seemed to shift around me, trapping me inside. That night I felt something cold and heavy settle over me, like a shadow pressing into my soul. I don't remember how I escaped, but I left that night shaken, knowing I had seen something I couldn't explain. Now, every Christmas, I pass by Hollow Manor, and I swear I can still hear faint, twisted Christmas carols drifting through the air, reminding me that some spirits never rest, especially on a silent, snowy night. I was excited to get into the holiday spirit, so I decided to order a Christmas tree online. I found a highly rated seller with glowing reviews, promising a beautiful, fresh, and perfectly shaped tree delivered right to my door. The price was reasonable, and the photos showed a lush, full tree that looked perfect for my living room. I placed the order late at night, eager for the anticipation to begin. A few days later, a large box arrived at my doorstep. It was wrapped in plain brown paper, with no indication of what was inside. I eagerly tore it open, expecting a Christmas miracle. Inside, I found what I thought was a tree twisted, dark green branches, and strange, uneven needles. It was different, but I figured maybe it was a unique, rustic type of tree. Maybe it just looked odd in the photos. I set it up in the corner of my living room, trying to ignore the slightly unsettling appearance. That night, I kept hearing faint scratching sounds coming from the corner where the tree stood. At first, I thought it was just the house settling, or some rodents. But the scratching grew louder, more frantic. I tried to dismiss it after all. I had just bought an old, possibly neglected tree. Maybe some pests had hidden inside. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. I'd wake up in the morning and find ornaments knocked over, despite not having anyone over. The tree's branches seemed to shift on their own, and some needles looked darker, almost black. At night, I'd see shadows moving behind it, flickering in the corner of my eye. When I looked directly at the tree, the shadows would vanish, replaced by an eerie silence. One evening, I decided to examine the tree more closely. As I pulled away some of the lower branches, I saw something strange, what looked like small, dried-up fingers tangled in the needles. I recoiled in horror, realizing the tree was not a tree at all, but something else entirely. The branches felt like brittle bones, and the dark, gnarled appearance resembled something twisted and alive. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind swept through the room even though the windows were closed. The lights flickered, and I heard a faint whispering indistinguishable, but undeniably there. I backed away slowly, my heart pounding. Then I noticed it. The tree was subtly changing shape, elongating, twisting into a form that looked disturbingly like a face frozen in a grimace. with hollow eye sockets staring at me. Panicking, I grabbed a nearby axe and hacked at the base of the thing. It shrieked a terrible, high-pitched sound that made my ears ring. The tree collapsed into a pile of dark, twisted branches and what looked like dried, shriveled flesh. I didn't sleep that night, haunted by the images and the whispers.